Christians too good to be funny?
Oh, good question, Paul.
We'll be talking about it right now. Welcome to the official Plugged In Vodcast. I am Paul Asay. This is Adam Holz. We're going to be talking about an interesting statement that some dude made.
Some dude, huh?
Judd Apatow, right?
Judd Apatow. Who's he?
Who is he? He is the director for a bunch of movies that you really should not see, actually.
Right.
Superbad, 40-Year-Old Virgin, Knocked Up. Very crass director, but he had something really interesting to say.
This is 40. I think he produced that.
Something like that. Yeah.
So, Paul, what did he say? Let's just dive in.
All right. So this is what he said, and both Adam and I found this kind of interesting. I know who I am as a storyteller. I want to feel hope about people's abilities to incrementally learn. This is really...
I feel that about you, by the
way. This is related to the reason why you don't see movies and television about Republican and conservative ideas, because Republicans are trying to present themselves as correct, as clean. And that's why there's no incredible, hysterically funny show about conservatives, because they're too concerned about trying to present themselves as correct. They're all going, I'm not neurotic. I'm not a disaster in any way. They don't admit how lost they are. There's something dishonest to me about that. It's living a lie.
It's a pretty interesting statement, and I think as you and I were talking about it, we both sort of made the same leap simultaneously, and we were less interested in talking about Republicans or politicals or conservatives, but the same sort of goes for a lot of Christian movies.
And Christians in general.
And Christians in general, that we think that what we want to present to people is sanitized, problem solved, perfect. And I think what Apatow is getting at, well, I think there's a couple different things. I think it doesn't make for good drama, because drama is dependent on conflict, and conflict is usually dependent on somebody's problems.
Right, exactly.
And it comes across inherently, even if it's not intended, it can feel dishonest, because we know that life isn't that sanitized and that clean, right?
Right, exactly. And I think that a lot of times it makes us unrelatable as well. You know, I think that it's really hard. I think that people like to see the chinks in the armor, the holes in the clothes, all this kind of stuff.
Coffee stains on the shirt.
The coffee stains on the shirt. Because when you feel like someone... This is sort of a weird statement, but I think when you see someone who is presenting themselves as all put together, it makes you sort of feel, I don't feel like I can talk with this person about stuff, because you're always trying to put up the same face, And I think that's a telling thing within sort of the evangelical community as a whole. That's something that I've felt in any case. And I think that we do see it a lot in Christian movies.
We do. And I think that Christian movie makers are perhaps making incremental progress here. There's a recognition that kind of sanitized depiction of our faith and of our lives ultimately doesn't ring true. But that brings up another problem. How do you depict people who are really flawed without actually depicting their flaws? Because sometimes that takes us into areas that Christians get pretty uncomfortable with pretty fast.
Absolutely. It's a really tricky thing. And the other thing that occurred to me as I was reading this quote is that in some ways we Christians really feel like we have to present ourselves as all put together, because when we are part of this faith, we feel like we have the answer.
So there's a responsibility there,
Exactly. And so we're trying to, in a sense, show that we do have the answer, that we have something that other people have. And that's really true. Yeah. And yet there's a problem. There's a wall that sort of comes up because of that. And because of those things, because of the responsibility that we have to tell things that aren't terribly problematic, the duty that we feel to present ourselves as that we have a secret, in a sense, that maybe others don't, it becomes a really difficult thing for us to make really good, compelling art.
It's tricky, and I think one example that comes to mind is the 2015 movie Captive. Kate Mara starred in that. She played Ashley Smith, who's a woman who basically is struggling with a severe drug habit, and this guy breaks out of prison and takes her hostage, and she starts reading him Rick Warren's book, and that probably saves her life, The Purpose-Driven Life. I mean,
Right.
it's so crazy that you would think if somebody made a movie of this is so hokey, it would never happen.
No,
But it
it's
was
true.
real. But one of the things they did was they showed us enough of her struggle with drugs. Like, I think and I'm doing this from memory, at one point she flushes some drugs down the toilet, and it's gritty for a Christian movie.
Yeah.
And the movie didn't do well. And so I think even as people are recognizing that we need to depict some of the gritty real life stuff,
Right.
even those that are trying to do it tastefully,
Right.
Christians don't seem to be really flocking to those kind of movies. So it's kind of a catch-22. I think we all want to see an authentic portrayal of people's brokenness, but authentic portrayals of brokenness,
They don't necessarily do very well.
well, they have problems. And I think that's what Apatow's getting at, is he wants to depict people who have issues and maybe have a chance to grow. And
Yeah.
obviously that's not an endorsement of anything that he's produced or directed or starred in, but I think he's onto something here, that he's fundamentally looking for something that's honest. And I think for Christian filmmakers, the ongoing challenge is, how do we do that in a way that is true to reality, true to our faith, and yet maybe not so broken and flawed and gritty that there's just too much stuff to grapple with.
I totally agree, and I agree that I think the Christian filmmakers are making strides in that direction. But what do you guys think? We'd love to hear what you think about these thoughts of ours, what you think about the state of Christian movies, what kind of Christian movies you'd like to see, and whether, as Christians, we sometimes do have a hard time showing our flaws. I think that's kind of an interesting question for all of us in some ways. So feel free to comment below. We'd love to hear from you. Thanks so much for spending a couple of minutes with us.